Little transfer roundup for you today. You'll have to excuse me, I'm not in my normal surroundings. I'm out. I'm not out, I'm just out. But it's not going to deter me from telling you the transfer news, which is West Ham have apparently made, and I do inverted commas, which I hate doing inverted commas, it looks like bunny rabbits, an insulting offer for Southampton midfielder James Ward Prowse. It's probably not insulting if you're West Ham. Apparently it's insulting if you're Southampton. Apparently the report suggests that Southampton laughed at the bid. Just so as you know, the bid was 17 million plus £3 million worth of add-ons. I think it's probably laughable from a West Ham fan's point of view because we just seem totally useless at this whole transfer malarkey. You get the impression Southampton weren't laughing though. You know, it's sort of like when somebody does that PMSL, or they do like the laughing emoji with the tears, and you think you're not laughing, you're actually angry. What they want is the red emoji with the steam coming out of the ears. I get the impression that Southampton were probably quite furious about this bid. I don't know what to think about it really. I mean, West Ham chancing their arm. It's much the same as Arsenal did with us, as Man City did with us. At the end of the day, we're going to have to pay what Southampton, want us to pay. Now, I said this early doors when the Declan Rice stuff was going on. A negotiation's a negotiation. There's no point getting upset about it. I think where it's different for West Ham at the moment is we're well behind the other clubs. We really need to start signing players. We probably need to start doing so rather quickly, really. I don't know what's gone on. Look, I know a lot of you will agree with me on this. We knew Declan Rice was leaving for a long time. Declan Rice's replacement should have been identified a long time ago, and it was a season ago that we were in for James Ward Prowse. Do you remember he was sort of, we were looking at something like 70 million. That seems like a lot of money now, doesn't it? 70 million for James Ward Prowse. And I think, we were right not to go in at that particular time for him at £70 million. There's a massive drop-off from, one season being valued at 70 million to think that they're now going to accept 17 plus £3 million in add-ons. I don't know. Personally, I think we're probably going to get him. I think we're going to end up with this player. But, I mean, at the moment, I'm just more concerned with what our team's going to be to play Bournemouth. Who knows? There's, the gorgeous Borges, Carlos Borges from Manchester City. The rumour is that that's close to being done, but pretty sure I sat here a week ago and did a video saying Carlos Borges is close to being done, and we're no further along the line with that, which is, a little bit concerning. In many respects, the Borges one is not as concerning as the James Ward Prowse one, because I think we can all agree Borges is not going to start the game against Bournemouth. He just wouldn't. I'm not even sure if he'd be on the bench. You'd hope he would. You would hope that David Moyes would put him on the bench. Why wouldn't he? Well, I don't know. There's been other times when a youngster has not been on the bench, but he's played two goalkeepers. That being said, probably not one we paid £14 million for. It's very, very different to signing someone like James Ward Prowse. James Ward Prowse starts the season, right? It's hard to imagine a scenario where David Moyes wouldn't start James Ward Prowse. He's not going to start Flynn Downs ahead of him. He's not going to start Connor Coventry or Freddie Potts. He's just not going to do that. So it's probably more, whether you like or you don't like James Ward Prowse, I think it is probably important that we get a senior midfielder over the line before then. Somebody who's definitely not going to be coming to West Ham, and I understand I'm a little bit behind the curve on this one. I did mention it in a video, fleetingly at the end of the video about 2-3 days ago, and that was that Conor Gallagher has said he does not want to come to West Ham, wants to stay and fight for his place. Absolutely fine, he can do what he wants. It's just important at this point that we sever ties and don't carry on pursuing him. I mentioned it before, but we carried on pursuing Borges for too long. Jesse Lingard's the big example, but he's not the only one. There's a lot of players who we keep on pursuing once they've made it known that they want to stay with their parent club. It's absolutely fine, he's allowed to do that. I'm sort of more concerned with the stories that followed on from that, which suggested that actually we're going to try and offer a little bit more. Well, what's the point? I think the 40 million was a lot for Conor Gallagher anyway. I thought Conor Gallagher was a £30 million player, maybe something like that. 40 million, I think no, a little bit. Not a little bit excessive. 10 million's not a little bit, is it? It's 10 million excessive in my estimations. You may think differently on that one, but for him then to turn around and say he wants to stay at Chelsea, and then us thinking, well, actually making the £43 million bid is going to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference if the player wants to stay at Chelsea. It's as simple as that. You have to assume that if he's saying he's going to stay and fight for his place, he has given some form of encouragement by Pochettino to do so. Walk away. I hope we have. I just heard comments to the contrary. I'm just going to finish up with a video today, which is Nikola Vlasic. Nikola Vlasic has... Well, there's no other way of saying it. I've got an interview from him. He's thrown a tantrum. He is very, very unhappy. Now, I have a level of sympathy with Vlasic because I don't imagine for a moment that when he signed, the conversation that whoever signed him, be it Moyes, be it Sullivan or anyone else, I don't believe for a moment he was told you're not going to play very much. I imagine he was told you're going to get every chance. We think highly of you. You're a player we really want. I bet he's told a lot of stuff because I don't think he'd have signed otherwise. He's not had a fair chance at West Ham. I don't think he's the world's best player. I really don't. But somebody somewhere within the club saw something within Nikola Vlasic to want to sign him and... All right, look, we're not going to end up spending £29 million on him. And, that was, if he'd have played 30 games every season, scored X amount of goals, probably what we'll end up owing CSK Moscow is something like 18, 19 million pounds. But it was still a big outlay. And, even though because of everything that happened in terms of the embargo against the Russian clubs, we haven't had to pay them. We've still had to put that money in a holding account. So when all this nonsense gets sorted out, they'll still need paying. So he went on loan to Torino, and Torino negotiated a deal whereby he went on loan, and at the end of it there would be a purchase option or a purchase clause at €13 million. They tried to renegotiate it at €9 million. It's not really any good to West Ham. So I've got a lot of sympathy with the player, but I sort of understand why West Ham wouldn't be unhappy with Torino, would say to Torino, well, no, we had a negotiation. You can't sort of go back on it. I'm just going to read you now what Nikola Vlasic had to state. It's pretty damning, and I do feel for him. It's not a nice read anyway. Vlasic said, I'm reading now, he said, I'm fed up with this dead-end situation. We all know I'm not considered an important player here, meaning West Ham. I'm just one of the many in the reserve group. I returned to London respecting the call-up with great fairness, and I'm training every day with the utmost professionalism. But this cannot be the solution. I've been telling you for 2 months that I want to play in Turin. That I no longer want to stay at West Ham under these conditions, on the sidelines, but also my own family never wants to go back and live in England. And also that I am not interested in evaluating other market hypotheses if there ever were any. I think what he's saying there, something gets lost in translation, what he's saying, I'm not interested in exploring any other transfers to another club. He wants to leave West Ham, he only wants to go to Torino. He says, your behaviour is incomprehensible. Not yours, not mine. He means West Ham. I know that Torino has already offered you, he's talking to West Ham when he's saying this, I know that Torino has already offered you €9 million for a long time, an important figure, respectful of my value and respectful of your needs, but you don't intend to negotiate with Torino anymore. You repeat that it's not enough, but you still don't communicate with the Italian club what the right figure is. In your opinion, I'm worried. I will continue training with great seriousness, but I cannot go on like this. I understand his frustration. I absolutely understand Vlasic's frustration at this situation. I really do. And clearly, those are the words of a frustrated man. But I also do understand West Ham's situation, which is they negotiated something with a club, and what Vlasic is very much saying is, why are you not in dialogue with Torino? I think if that was me and I'd made a deal, and the deal was that someone was going to pay me 13 million and they'd had him, I think West Ham subsidised a lot of his wages for that loan. I think if that was me and that was the deal, and then it was 13 million euros, and someone came back to me with 9 million euros, I would say, no, it's not 9 million. It's the deal we negotiated. It's the deal we agreed upon. We shook hands on. It wouldn't be signed. We signed the deal we signed. You're not going to just let somebody go on loan on a handshake. You'll sign an agreement. And I think if that was me, it would be, no, it's not 9, it's 13. That's what it was. I don't know where the additional dialogue comes into it. But then again, I'm aware that I'm contradicting myself because I already said negotiation's a negotiation, right? But if that's West Ham's price, that's West Ham's price. We will still end up losing money on Vlasic. We're quite good at losing money on players, I guess, aren't we? But you know what? I think overall, I think for me, it's just a bit of a shame that I'm sat here now doing a transfer window update with really not much transfer news to update. It's a little bit shambolic at the moment, it has to be said. And you know, I actually find myself shifting. My mood towards James Ward Prowse shifted. Look, don't get me wrong. If James Ward Prowse signed, I would welcome him. I absolutely would. The moment you put on that claret and blue shirt or whatever colour, that orange and white shirt or whatever colour it's going to be this year, you're West Ham, and absolutely, you deserve support. But I think I wasn't particularly keen on him as a sign-in. Now I find myself actually almost desperately wanting anyone. What I won't subscribe to, though, is people being disappointed that Fulham are signing Callum Hudson-Odoi and we're not. I don't think so. Good luck to him. Good luck to them. Fulham have got massive issues at the moment. They really do, but with their manager and Mitrovic and stuff like that. I would actually rather go and get a promising youngster with his career ahead of him. I know Hudson-Odoi is still very young, but he's stalled. He's had a serious injury. I've seen a lot of players like that, I think, over the years be really, really good in their late teens, and then something happens and they never quite sort of take off again. I don't know. I've got a player in mind, actually, when I'm thinking about that. I don't know why I'm thinking about Jermaine Pennant, but I think I'd rather go and get a gorgeous Borges, quite frankly. So there we go. Not an awful lot to report. Just a very, very feisty and upset Nikola Vlasic. I think a feisty and upset Southampton, although they're pretending to be laughing. It's one of those sort of laughs, isn't it? And an ever increasingly longer moustache.